What's going on, everybody? It is the Willie Ashford from the Black Culture Podcast. I know you're ready to get into this interview, but before you do,
make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Apple, Google, and Spotify at the Black Culture Podcast. And
also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Black Culture Podcast. Peace.
What's up, Willie?
What's going on, man? How you doing, brother?
Man, first in-person interview and it came a long way.
A long way. The road has been great, but we're here now, man.
Yes, sir. So, this next guest, I want to say he needs no introduction, but everybody may not know him the way that I do. So, I just want to bring him in correctly because this is my brother from another, husband, father, entrepreneur. And I think after this episode, they're going to realize it's a lot more to this brother than just meets the eye. And he looking sharp as hell today.
Pretty dapper, if I do say so myself.
Man, okay, sexy boy, I tell you.
Hey, wait a minute, hold up.
But let's go ahead and bring him in as my brother, Jah'Life Ali. What's going on?
Hey,
how you doing, man?
Man, absolutely fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, we was talking out there in the bar area and really don't know where to begin with you, but before we jump into this episode, we have a tradition on our podcast where we like to do a toast. And so before we toast it up, we would like for you to choose what we toasting to.
I would say we should toast to just longevity, right? And new endeavors, right? And I would say expansion, especially for you guys. Like, man, this is really awesome. You know, I've seen a few of you guys podcasts and the topics and stuff that you guys are, hitting and stuff and bringing to the table. I think that's awesome. So really, I would say the toast should be to you guys.
Oh man,
let's toast it up. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
First off, look at you, Alex, not forgetting.
You know, I actually
we get in the studio, you get the cutting up, man.
I practiced. This dude grills me on every episode that we do, and I forget to toast. And he can't wait for me to forget just so he can tell me in front of everybody. But let's get into you. So, owner of Renew Floor in Ohio, right? One of the top flooring businesses, I think, in the state, if I'm not mistaken.
I like it. Yeah, I receive it.
But we know that's not where you started. You know, you started on a much different path. And we definitely want to get into business. But with your story specifically, I want to kind of go back to the beginning and the evolution of Jah'Life, about where you started, where you are now, and the path to where you're going. So if you can take us on a little bit of a journey, take us back to the beginning from Cleveland, Ohio, one of how many brothers and sisters?
17. 17. It's actually 21. We count 17 because it's actually 17 here. So wow. The other 4 is spread it out. But we actually have, I believe, is 9 girls and 8 boys.
Wow.
And we're pretty close too.
Pretty close. But y'all didn't all grow up together though.
No.
In fact, I was speaking on this earlier. When did you actually get a chance to meet all your brothers and sisters?
Oh man, so
I know.
I would say, you know what? One of the things that the old man did correct, and it really wasn't many things, but one of the things I would say that we all knew each other, of each other, and my story in particular is one that is. Out of the 17 of us, he had, I believe, 8 by, I call her Mama Faye because she actually took us in. So the story kind of starts like, I came home from the hospital. My mother was 17 at the time when she had me, so she was 16 when she got pregnant, by my father. Now at this time he had. I want to say like 7 kids, 6 or 7 kids. So he's older. I don't know the age he was, but my mom, she was 16 when she got pregnant, 17 when she had me. My grandmother then was totally, I guess, upset, just like any parent would be, having a kid at that young age. But so she put my mom out. So my mom didn't have anywhere to go at that time.
So wait, as soon as she found out your mom got pregnant, she kicked her out.
Well, I wouldn't say soon as probably so. Yeah. So when she probably started the show,
It's crazy. Wow.
right? So when I actually, when I was born, my father brought my mom and me to then his wife, right? And walked us in and handed my sister and Dina, the baby, and told his wife that this is my son and they need a place to stay, and walked out.
Wow.
Your daddy was a pimp.
Yeah. So, and to hear her tell the story, right? Because I've heard the story from her, Mama Faye, how he did that, and she was just like shocked, right? That he had the gall to come in here, bring a child and another,
And his baby mama.
right?
Yeah.
And say, "This is my son, and they need a place to stay," and left.
And left.
Right. So she sat there for a minute, and my sister at the time, I think she was about like 7, 8, right, and she's holding me, and at that time, it's like I'm just like a little baby doll to her.
Right.
She's the sight of the baby, but Mama Faye was there, just like this puzzle, like what's going on? Yeah.
Wow. So, how was life growing up though?
Oh man! So this fast forwarding to that, it was always, we were never like settled, right? It was like here,
And what part of town is this? What part of town?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
So Cleveland. At the time, my mom, she met another gentleman who they got married, and I grew up thinking that was my father, right? So I didn't know none of this
Up
until right.
Okay.
So up until probably about, I want to say 7 or 8 is when I find out that this wasn't my dad. But even thinking back then, I knew nothing else. It was just like, it wasn't something that really shocked me, or I was just like all messed up, because it was like I heard it and that was it, right? So she married Pops, when I was young, and dude was a good dude, like hard worker, took care, took care of us. I had everything, and then I think they took a turn and got involved into some drugs.
I was going to ask you that. You said you guys were always on the move.
Yeah.
So being always on the move, what was some of the things that, like, if you can get into detail, some of the different things you experienced or you saw? Because I could just imagine, if you're always on the move, you experienced and saw some different things that some things maybe even a child shouldn't see.
Yeah. So up until the time where, that I guess that's when heroin was a big drug back then. That was, a 70s drug. And so that hit, the streets really hard. I remember East Cleveland, and that's where we stayed. We stayed in East Cleveland. East Cleveland just used to be a really, really opulent city. grass green everywhere. Houses. I mean, it was just like the community. I remember back when like we truly had a community.
It's crazy.
Right.
We had an interview. Somebody was telling me that, and I just still I don't. I still
Yeah,
can't
he
believe it
don't
every
know.
time they bring that up.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Wow.
He a
Yeah.
little wet behind the ears, but my grandparents lived, and I remember growing up there too. So yeah,
Yeah. So I guess when that heroin began to take over, and people begin to get, addicted to this drug, I remember just seeing life start to change, right? And my mother and then pops, I would differentiate the two as far as my father and pops. So you know
Okay.
who I'm
I got
talking
you.
about.
I got you.
Okay. So pops, they start taking drugs. First, it was my mom who got start
using.
using, and then my pops, he started to use to show her that you can get off of it. You're strong enough to get off of it. So he thought. And when they both began to use, then that's when the the arguing, the fighting, the all this other stuff, and then at the same time, right? My father is you think how you have now you want to be that's my son and some other man that's with like your girl or whatnot, so now you want to use like that's my son. So they was beefing, right? So it was times where they was actually into like actual shootouts.
Wow.
Right. So now my mom is going back and forth from pops to my dad, right? Because my dad was in the streets and he was using too. So she'll go over there to use, and this is before pops start to use. But
So
now,
so you saying your father and your pops was in shootouts
yeah,
at each other?
at each other.
At each,
crazy.
you know what's
At each
crazy
other.
about that, man? I just I'm gonna get back to the story real quick. I was at the barber yesterday, and he was telling me, he was like, "Man, do you know so and so?" I was like, "No." He said, "Yeah, he's one of my clients. His his daughter's mother was shot. Like, I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. I guess you heard about that.
Yeah, that was my friend's
That was
baby
your,
mother.
That's
Yep.
crazy. So
Yep.
he shot the boyfriend, came in, killed her. The kids in the window, they saw it. Went back to his crib,
Killed his girl.
killed his girlfriend, and killed
Then
himself.
killed himself.
Wow. Wow.
The
That's
kids,
nuts.
the oldest is 14. He actually saw his mom get killed.
Man,
Yeah.
Like, it's
that's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that
Yeah.
that didn't happen to you. That's all I'm
Right,
saying. That's
right.
why I bring
Well,
that up.
I mean, so close.
Yeah.
So close that was like really my story. Sometimes it's like I'm replaying my life, right? Where I've seen, like I've actually been here before, right? And it's crazy. So this particular shootout, which I remember, my mom was with my father, and pops went to go get her out of the drug house. So he goes in to get her out of the drug house, have her. I see them coming out the apartment, and he's pulling her, and they running across the street. He running with her across the street. My father coming out and start busting.
Wow.
They gets behind the car, right? I'm in the car. I'm in the back seat, right? And he reaches over the hood and start busting back at my father. So
While you
Pop
were in
started
the car.
busting back while I'm in the car.
Wow.
So I can hear bullets going
Wow.
going by. So after that, jump in the car, boom, and
Drove
sped off and drive off. Yeah.
And
So,
how old was you?
Crazy, man.
I was about like 7, 8 years old.
Man, just the
Yeah, about
just the
7.
trauma behind that. You know what I mean?
Because that's the age where you kind of like
you
remember like it's some stuff at like ages before that you may remember, but you don't forget that.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
No. And I feel like we got to throw something in. So, your name, right? Jah'Life Ali,
Mm.
and we're gonna get into it.
Mm.
But you didn't grow up Jah'Life Ali.
No,
What was your name growing up?
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie Pratt.
Ronnie Pratt.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So we gonna get into the name change here
Okay.
in a bit.
Yeah.
But keep going with your story.
yeah. So I mean, that's just a transition of, again, then the moves. Where we just never stayed still, because after that, I believe they were separated, and then she was going back to my father, back to pops, to my father, back to pops, and they were separating, then getting a divorce, and then we moved with my grandmother, then back to pops, back to, so it was just like a triangle thing, right? And so she never really was able to find her own footing, right? Because her being, a user. And then at a young age, I could only imagine, what she was going through, at that age. I've actually seen them both, nodding. And as a child, when something's not right.
Yeah.
Like, I knew, because I would see her like nodding off. I'm like, why? It's in the middle of the day. Like, why are you nodding? Right? Like, why are you always sleepy? Right? There's something wasn't right about that. So I asked her about it, and she would, make up a story or whatnot. But then I actually seen it, right? I actually seen it. So I'm going to a bathroom, and she's there, slumped. I actually seen it. So, wow. But anyway, yeah, picturing that is like it.
Right.
It's emotional.
Yeah. But it all goes into the becoming of who you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Because there's no victory, right, without testing, without trials, without struggle, without fighting for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there's a more to that story, because your mother isn't with us right now,
Right.
and so there came a point where, in a way, you were on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of talk about that a little bit, and then we're gonna jump into the next phase.
So, man, so when it was just her and I, and just moving about different boyfriends and stuff like that, I was always looking to make make something happen. Like, I was going to the grocery store and carrying grocery bags, and getting 50 cents, a quarter, $1 was like, wow, when
Right.
they asking people did they need help with their grocery bags, right? So I was doing that. I was raking leaves, shoveling snow. I was doing all type of stuff like that to make money to eat, not to have extra money. I was doing it to eat,
Just to eat.
right? And then I started to do it just to have clothes, a coat, socks, just to even buy gifts for others, even though I didn't have. As a kid, I was buying gifts, like giving my aunts and cousins
Wow.
and them stuff, socks and stuff like that. So, yeah, I remember going. I was talking to my wife the other day, and I shared the story with her where I put a coat on layaway. Right, I put a coat on layaway. Now I'm in 7th grade at this time. It's between 7th and 8th grade, right? I'm working at Save Morris on Hayden, right? Carrying grocery bags. They used to run me out from it. Hey, get away from here, right? And then finally, finally they come like, look, you want to work here because they see I work on It's like,
Force
you
him
want
to get your job.
right. Look, I'll tell you what. And his name was Tony. He said, look, you can come in and pack bags, and I'll give you $5 a day. And you pack bags. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Right.
They're like, all right, so you come here on weekends at 8 o'clock, right, to close.
It sound like slavery.
$5. But hey, man, back then,
I was gonna say back
a
then
dollar
$5 was like, yeah.
right. Because my winter coat, I remember it was $35. It was $35. It was a gray bomber. Like
Yeah.
I remember like it was
It's
yesterday.
fresh.
Right. And two, I was still and I was getting tips. So with him, he was like, "Well, we're gonna pay you $5, and you could still, you know, get tips with carrying grocery bags." So I was doing that, and I put my coat on layaway at Silverman's. That's when Silverman's was real hot
Yeah,
back
I
then,
remember
right?
Silverman's,
Right.
yeah.
So, and we were, talking about like, man, you can put things on layaway, and you did it as a kid. Like my mom didn't sign for this layaway, right? I went and took them $5 and put my coat on layaway. Right. I also drove to Value City on Miles.
I remember
It was
that.
my first name brand tennis shoe. I always wore like we just get Pick and Pay shoes or Payless when Payless came out. Those type of shoes, but I never had a pair of Nikes. I never had a pair of Reeboks or back then even Ponies. So that was my first name brand shoe was Ponies, and I bought it. I put it on layaway and used to drive, catch the bus.
I'm about to say you was
Yeah.
driving as a kid.
No, yeah, right, exactly. So
You got to
catch the bus. Hey, listen, it was like I was driving. I was catching the bus at age of 7.
Wow.
And I'm gonna say 7 just to not overstretch it. I believe it was even 6. This is when bus fare was a dime, and I was catching the bus by myself at that age, and I knew how to get around. I used to catch the bus to my grandmother's house, to my cousin's house. Like I knew the 3, the 6, the 28, the 41. Like I can get around wherever I wanted to go. I knew how to
So
catch the
funny,
bus.
like
yeah. Go
so
ahead.
you learned survival at a young age.
Yeah.
So, because I haven't heard you bring it up yet, but how was school like at that time? Like, how was you like? Because it seemed like you obviously had to take care of yourself, make your own money. How was like if it was school, like how was you managing that, and how was it going to school, like seeing the other kids' lifestyle?
It was, believe it or not, I was a pretty decent student out of all of that.
Wow.
Right? I actually got better in junior high school, right, than elementary. But this is when Mama Gail, so Mama Gail comes into the picture in about 3rd or 4th grade. So that's like my brother. His name Adishi. Right. We met in 3rd grade. Right. He became my best friend when I beat this 6th grader up. So I was in the 4th grade. We got into a little fight on the playground, and he was like at 3 o'clock because we got into an argument, right, and we was getting ready to fight. And he was like, after school, and the teacher broke it up. He's like, after school, I'm kicking your you know what. So this is when, do you remember the movie where you watching the clock? I was
The
literally
Wood?
watching the clock. At 3 o'clock, man, I'm about to get into this fight. I'm scared. This is a bigger kid, right? And I'm just terrified that 3 o'clock is getting ready to come, and I'm gonna have to fight this guy. All right, so 3 o'clock come, and I'm trying to make it out and get home. So I'm making it. I'm like, I don't see him. Great. I'm walking up the street down Euclid, and then I just hear dude calling me, and other kids running behind. I look back, and I was just like, oh man, my heart is pounding. And this kid come up and was like, what's up? What's up? So now you got a group of kids that surround me. I'm in this circle. It's like this is a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Real talk. It's a movie. So
Could
I'm
you
in
imagine
this.
if they had smartphones back then?
Right. Exactly.
World star.
So
Facebook Live.
make a long story short, I whoop them. And I believe I whooped them just out of straight fear.
I was gonna
Right?
say that, yeah.
Yeah, I was so scared that I whooped him, and then after that, it was like I was the man. I was the man from 4th grade all the way up into 7th grade, and then 7th grade get into another fight. It's like I always had to prove myself, right? Again, the light skin thing, the hazel eyes, and pretty boy, right? And then that actually kind of like where we was talking about back there, where you just have to start to accepting things that you are. It was very hard for me because I would try to play myself down because I didn't want to be labeled as a pretty boy or somebody who actually excelled, right? Because it was other things that was tied to that I saw. So I always used to like play myself down. So anyway, it's like every year from school, like I had to prove myself again. Like I had to prove myself again when I went to high school. But after that, it was like everybody knew like, oh, don't mess with Pratt because he like, he got hands.
Put them paws on.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So that's when I meet Deesh. I meet Deesh, 4th grade, and he was just dapping me up and like, oh man, because dude was like he was a bully. People were scared of him. And so after I met him as a friend and actually went over his house, and he had a pretty good upbringing, right? And they had food.
They always got food.
Yeah, so they always had food, and it was like, man, I was trying to spend the night every weekend, right? Every weekend, and some days I was trying to spend the night when it was just school nights, and then finally his mom was like, "Don't you gotta go home? Like, where's your mom? Like, what's going on?" This was Mama Gail, and she was like, "I want to meet your mother." Right? It was one of those things, and I think about like probably a year she finally met my mother, and I guess at that, where she probably saw whatever, but she took me in. She took me in, and it's been like Mama Gail ever since.
Let me ask you this. Back then, at what point all the moving around and all that stuff did it become normal to you? Like you just expected it, and it wasn't. Like, for example, you saw Deesh, and you're like, man, this is cool. Like I would love to live. I would love let you notice like my life isn't the way it's supposed to be. At what point did you realize that?
It was young, really, that I seen that, and that's why I kind of gravitated towards that lifestyle that I knew that was out there, and that I knew that or wished that my mom could have, and put us in a better place and situation. I knew it young, right? I knew it at an early age when I saw her with that needle in her arm. I knew it. Wow. Anyway.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay away from that.
No. I got you. And so fighting got you interested in boxing.
In boxing, yeah.
Yeah. So kind of tell us about that.
Yeah. So again, bully. Man, stay in East Cleveland on Euclid and Grassmere. It was Tony's Pizza. I used to go and play the game called Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tony's Pizza. And so a guy came in there. And again, it was like another thing. The reason why I think I won all these fights because it was always somebody messing with me. I was never the kid that messed with someone, usually. I did it one time. Thought I was the man and thought, and I bullied somebody and he whooped me. Right? So I think it just comes back. But, a guy was messing with me and brought me off the video game, and he had a group with him, and back then it was little games and stuff like that. So I'm probably about like 12, 12 at this time. And he bring me out, and we got to fighting. Then his friend tried to jump in, and it's like I handled myself pretty well. And
2 for 1 special. I like
yeah, handled myself pretty well. And actually, I started boxing at 9. right? So you know, I did have some, lessons in that, and fought junior Olympics, uh, won junior Olympics at 9. So I got some trophies and pictures and stuff like that with me fighting.
All right, let's take it to the streets,
Okay.
right? Because it's funny. Cleveland got a lot of talent as far as fighting side.
So much talent, man.
A lot of boxers came up out of here, and now obviously we're starting to see MMA starting to come up out of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But for young black men, one of the things that you always hear about if they boxer, if they got talent, is man, we got to keep them out the streets.
Mm.
So coming up for you, how hard was it to not turn that path and go the street route, whether it's just to make some extra money, stay fresh, do whatever, since it was all around you? How hard was it to stay on the straight and narrow, which landed you in a position that you didn't want to be in, which we gonna get into?
I think because really, at that time, like my friends wasn't doing it, right? So I didn't really have anyone that was in my circle that was doing it. Had it been some friends that went that route, then I probably would have got caught up as well, because again, it was around me. I seen it, right? I seen it. My mother boyfriends was like doing it. I remember they actually gave me a package of cocaine to see if I could sell it, because
Wow.
things was, hard. I mean, I was in middle school. I'm in the 8th grade now, and seeing if and again it did begin to just to seem kind of like normal, right? And I was like, and I tried 8th grade, 13, 14, however age was that, but I didn't know who to sell, who would
Who was gonna buy it?
who was gonna buy it. If I would have found the customer that day when I had it, it probably would have been a early lifestyle for me.
You mean to tell me, Jah'Life, with the successful entrepreneur that you are, you did not research your target market? You didn't look at the
I had
demographics that was right in front of you?
I had no idea. I think some was holding me back too, just because of the past experience of what I seen from like it being so close to home. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about your conversion, right? Because you did a bit, but during that time, you made some really life-changing changes to your life. One of which being your name, another one being your diet, and obviously the biggest one being your mindset. So, which led you, because I met you after these changes had happened, so I didn't get a chance to know Ronnie.
Right.
I only knew Life.
Right.
So for us, for our audience, I want to know those changes you made, and how did you arrive at those decisions, and not how do you just arrive at those decisions, but how did you not waver to ever go back?
Well, I remember when they picked me up. Right. So at this time, I did again. My circle changed. A friend of mine was, in the streets. I was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, Randall Mall, the kiosk,
Yep.
or the whatever
And
you,
the
right?
food court.
Yeah, food court,
Yep.
right? So you had Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. That's when they first came together. So I was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and remember working there, and a friend of mine just was always having stuff, right? He will have stuff that, like, man, how did you get that, right? And he had introduced me to what he was doing. This is when crack hit the scene, right? And so I got introduced to that. I was still working, and I just thought it was interesting. They're like, man, you can make all this money, right, and not have to go to work. because I was working all the way from like 7 all the way up to high school. So this was in high school. This was about 10th grade. So I worked all the way up until then. But then I'm seeing this other lifestyle, and close friend of mine, making money and bought him a car and doing all this other stuff. So I'm like, he turned me on to it, and I started to try to, hustle. Again, it wasn't something that just, jumped out, and I started making money instantly. But at this time, I guess I started researching my market.
Exactly.
Right. So
Like, man, I can turn this into a business.
right.
Oh.
So we I started doing that, and had some success at it on a lower level, because at that time, I'm just interested in tennis shoes and looking fly.
Yeah.
Right. Getting a car, having a car and some sounds. Right. That's all I was really into it for, and kind of like fast forward at this time. I bought a car, didn't have no license. Right, we stayed on Kinsman, and I ended up buying a car with a fake ID. Right, go buy a car, and I used to park the car down the street so my mother wouldn't see it.
Wow.
Right, and so I probably had the car for 3 weeks before she found out about it, because one of her friends said, "Hey, your son got a car. Like, I seen him driving." And she was like, "What? My son ain't got no car." So she come home. She's upset. She's mad. Like, "You got a car? Where's her car?" I'm like, "No, of course, denying everything." She gets the truth out of me. I'm like, "It's down the street." And so we go down the street. She see the car. It was a nice car. So she was like, "Where'd you get the money to get this car from? And who sold you a car?" And all this other stuff. Now, she had a car. Her car, I remember it was a little gray Buick, beat up. Right, my car was, I think it was a Regal, had gold rims on it.
So your car was
It was
nicer than
nice.
her car.
It was nice, right?
Right.
So she, you know, I wouldn't say that she wasn't really upset, but she was upset, and she made me take the car back, right? And then she's cussing the people who sold me a car, like, this is a minor. You sold the minor a car, right? And so they're like, well, we didn't know, he gave us ID, blah, blah, this and that. Why did my mom have them exchange the car? Because there was something wrong with it too, right? But I didn't know. Have them exchange the car, and then gave her a newer car, and she kept my car. And she kept the car. Yeah, so
Man.
but that was my introduction to industry. So after that, she saw which route I was headed, and she sent me to Nashville. So she sent me to Tennessee to live with my aunt. Right. At this time, this is my 11th grade year, like half of the year, just got into the 11th grade. She sent me to Nashville. Went to Nashville. Had a few dollars I saved up. So I'm going down to Nashville.
You balling.
I'm
Yeah,
balling.
you got a little something,
Yeah,
something
right, exactly. And so I'm getting the attention, the new guy from Cleveland or whatnot. But Nashville, man, it was so country. I wanted out.
I was gonna ask you that because I got family from
Yeah.
Tennessee, and I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, what was from leaving Cleveland, the city, to going to the country, like.
That's exactly what it was. It was straight country. Everybody had, when I say everybody had Jerry curls. Right? I wanted
So
one.
glow.
My mother wouldn't let me get one.
Oh, I
But,
can't picture you
yeah,
with one.
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
Oh, you could?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. She was like, "No, you out here fine. Just put some water and grease in it." So, but yeah, man, Nashville I like it now. But back then, man, it was just so country, in which end up meeting a young lady. We dated very shortly. We ended up, doing, some grown up stuff, and that's my first kid. That's Jasmine, my daughter. Right. Uh, uh, then going to McGavick, this big old school, like 3 of Kennedy's, right, can fit in this school.
That's where he went.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that soft little name drop there. Appreciate
Huh?
that.
Yeah.
That name drop.
No, I just appreciate you making
Hey, no,
him
no, don't
realize
do that.
how
Stop,
small his
stop,
school
stop,
is.
stop,
That's what I wanted you to do.
Okay. Well, I graduated from Kennedy.
Man, listen.
Yeah.
Oh, so how
Yeah,
small
yeah,
your
yeah,
your
yeah,
school?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got you.
Yeah, because I actually came back.
Oh,
Actually
yeah,
came
that's
back.
right. Because Heights is like what 3 times the size of Kennedy too. Now,
No, not really.
because they
Now
rebuilt
is,
it. Yeah,
but
that's
also
what I'm
they just
saying.
rebuilt Kennedy, so we got a whole street.
Oh,
Miles,
yeah.
You ain't got no whole street. You got a block, a real small block. But anyway, life. What were you saying?
Yeah. So, and went to McGavin, and it was different. I don't know how the school system is now as far as credits, but back when it was time for me to graduate, I only needed 18 credits, and I had 15 or 16 after my 11th grade. I would have 16, right? So my senior year back in Cleveland, I will only need 2 credits. So I just need the math and English, and you get out you go to school half a day or whatnot, and get out, right? So in Nashville, I needed 21 credits, right? So here I got 16 credits. I need 5 more. What am I getting ready to take for there? So English and math, yeah. But now I got to take some stuff I have no interest in. I have no interest in electric. I have no interest in auto body because it was a big school. It was like one of those type of school. Plumbing, like they had everything. If I knew then when I know now, it's different, right?
That's your thing because you're always talking about that.
Yeah. But back then, like, man, I wasn't trying to take all that. And then too, I would have to take 6 credits just in case I failed one. Right? So it's like my senior year that I was, looking to be, just, going to school half a year and being able to get out and being introduced to adulthood. I got to have a full schedule. So that was my whole idea as far as coming back to Cleveland. But at the same time, I had this girl pregnant, baby on the way, and when I find out, her mother called me and was like, "Hey, like, so what do you and my daughter, like, basically, like, what you about to do?" Like, she was saying, like, I need to marry her daughter, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, no, I'm not looking to get married. So because she was really deep in religion and whatnot. Her mom was, and it was pushing out. I'm like, well, I want to go back home, back to Cleveland, so I can graduate. And it's not so. Well, how you gonna take care of the baby from Cleveland? And again, young, just like, hey, well, I'll send her money or this and that. Make a long story short.
Did she chew you out?
Yeah, she did. But when I ended up coming back to Cleveland, getting back involved in what my mother sent me to Nashville to avoid getting back into that life. But now here it is. I got a child on the way. The child finally gets here. She was born in December, and I called, and her mother is not picking up the phone, this and that. So I fly back down to Nashville, thinking like, well, maybe I gotta be there, right? And I'm at the door, ringing the doorbell, and no one's coming to the door. No one's coming to the door, so I'm still knocking. I know she's there. I just called her, right? So I know she's at home. At this time, it's pagers, okay? It's no phones, right?
Pagers,
so I
yeah.
actually had to go to a payphone, right? So I actually had to go to a payphone and call, and she answered the phone. So I'm like, man, I'm here. And so I drive back around to her house, and she ain't coming to the door. Her sister was on my side, though. Her sister was like, really trying to get her sister to, like, man, answer. But I think her mom, like coached her, because her mom was really big in church and wanted to find her a husband, which she ended up getting married to. And my daughter grew up thinking that
That
this
was her
Wow.
father.
that was her father. Which is another, like, man, this thing is just
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
Bro, I told you this was gonna be
Yeah.
be interesting, man.
Yeah.
Let's get into your name change.
Mhm.
Right. I know we kind of divert real quick, but I think that's the first time I ever met somebody who changed their name. First two people. One of them named Beyond, the
Mhm.
other one named Jah'Life. So for our audience, I want you to talk about what made you change your name
Mhm.
and the meaning of your name.
Mhm. Good. So, um, end up getting arrested after being an unlicensed pharmaceutical.
You ain't have your L's, man.
I didn't have my license, so uh, got arrested, and it's like I knew
Now, was that your first offense?
that was actually it was my second.
That was your second offense.
My first offense was I was down University of Cincinnati, and I quit call myself quitting selling drugs.
the pharmaceutical
Pharmaceutical.
business.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And now,
So-
just to put things into perspective as far as time, how old are you?
So I'm about like 20. I'm about like 20, 21 around.
Okay.
Right. My first encounter. Right. So I was going back to school, and I was like, well, I didn't want my money to start running low, so I was just going to, sell lace
Supplemental
cigarettes.
income.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Always thinking ahead. Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You gotta have multiple streams. I mean, that's exactly what we talk about.
right. So I got caught with like some pounds of weed, and
Which is crazy. It's legal now.
yeah, exactly. They should give me that time.
They,
back.
finna say,
they
yeah,
should
they
give you that
Yeah,
time back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was my first little stint. I ended up doing like 4 months on that. Right. So again, fast forwarding, my second encounter, I got set up through I stopped, right? I'm boxing at this time, so it's Golden Gloves. So I
Yeah.
got back into the gym, boxing, and one of my teammates then was asking me about, because he knew my past or whatnot, asking me, can I hook him up? Now, at this time, I wasn't selling, but
You
some-
still knew.
yeah, I still knew the connection. I felt like I could make, some extra money or whatnot, and end up, doing some stuff with him, which he was working for the people, and so they had me, right? They had me, but they didn't come get me then. So, um, just moving on now, because I did do something for him, I started back, dibbling, dabbling, and whatnot. And what ended up happening, I hear that he had got caught up in something, and he's out. But at this time, I've already dealt with him, right? We done business together. So I pull up on like, yo, I heard that that you got, and I was asking him about a situation. And he immediately was like, no, man. He's like, well, man, I wouldn't do this to you and this and that. And next thing you know, this was my fight night. This is my fight night that I had a fight. I was on my way to the weigh-in, and this fight was going to be huge, right? Because it's the guy that I lost to in the Golden Gloves final. So this fight was like, it was marketed. It was going to be a really big fight. Well, it still was a big fight that day, because everybody was there to come see us fight. We was like the main event. So what ended up happening when I'm going to the weigh-in, the police, surround me or whatnot, and that was the day.
That's got to be a terrible
Yeah,
feeling.
it really was.
But I feel like in that moments like that, they knew they could have got him. They waited to that
yeah,
moment.
they
Like,
waited to that
absolutely.
Yeah,
moment. They
Absolutely.
waited to that moment too because they knew, because he told them that I questioned him about, so they felt like to protect him, just in case anything was, not knowing where my mindset was, if I would do something, try to get something done to him, that they had to take me off the streets, right? Because they let me roll for about 2 months before, because that was the only incident, right? So anyway, I thought it was kind of like off because they asked me about Gregory. It was like, so your name Gregory? I'm like, nah. Like, man, it was like, what's your name? I'm like, my name Ronnie Pratt. Give them my license and show them. They're like, oh, so they check me like, oh, well, hey, this is Ronnie Pratt. I think we got the wrong guy. So I'm like, yeah, y'all got the wrong guy. Come to find out, my Julio's was Gregory, was Gregory Thomas,
Wow.
right? So I had some fake licenses. This is when you can actually get, like license, actual driver license, and so I had that little connect or whatnot, but I forgot about Gregory.
so you was a plug, man. You had all the connects, man.
I forgot about Gregory.
Thinker.
So yeah, so I ended up going to jail. I knew it. I was like, hey man, this is kind of like it was going to be it. And I seen myself having 10 years. But this is when I started to, I didn't know it then, but as I started to look back in when I'm incarcerated at the time, where I was just speaking things into existence, where I actually had power in the words that I spoke, right? Again, not knowing it then, but I'm seeing it happen because me and my brothers, we were just having a conversation about talking about like, man, if we got locked up, what we would want one another to do as far as taking care of their kids, and if anything was to happen to us. And then there was a question that was put out there, how much time that we think that we could do, and this and that. And I was like, I said 10 years, right? It was like everything that I spoke
Wow.
happened, right? Even all the way to my mother passing away when I was incarcerated.
Wow.
So it was like, at this point of time when I'm inside, I was afraid to even speak or to think certain things, because it was like the things that I spoke happened, right? When I came into that, consciousness. So just bringing me up to, speed far as the name change and everything. So when I first, got locked up, just trying to see how you're gonna do your bit. You got 10 years, right? So it's just like, how am I getting ready to do this? But when I was sentenced, I told the judge, like, no matter what, how much time that you're gonna give me, I'm gonna make this negative into a positive. I said, I'm gonna come out better than I went in. I said that, it's in my transcripts, right? And that's what my approach was when I went in there. So when I went in there in mindset that I wasn't coming out the same, right? Even though when I first went in, I started doing some of the same stuff, like, playing cards, gambling, doing stuff like that. Didn't really take part of the stuff of the weed and the stuff and the hooch and stuff that was in there. Did it once when I was in there, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
So I worked in the kitchen, and I used to hear these guys talk about different religions and stuff like that, and then they'll ask me about my religion and this and that. I'm like, that just getting offensive, right? I wasn't even listening. I was hearing what they were talking about, but then when they start to question me, I began to get offensive, because I felt like no matter what it is that you practice or what it is that you believed in, each man has their own, like believe in whatever you want to believe in, and don't try to switch what my truth is, right? So we were, we used to kind of like go at it sometimes, and and really almost get into some, physical stuff with one of the guys, and so the other guy was like, man, no, man, chill out, leave him alone. He'll come around. He's something that they were saying. So anyway, we was fixing trays and stuff, and they'll always just be talking on stuff about, the sun, the moon, how far the planet is from the. And it was just stuff that I'm just like, whoa, stuff was just now. I'm just hearing. So you ain't trying to bring, but I'm just hearing. So then I began to question some of the stuff, and then we began to walk the track, and I will ask questions about, certain things, and we just began to, to build. And after that, he used to say, like, man, you bring, when you come around, he's like, man, you bring like this energy. He's like this, you bring like life, and not just him, but it was other people that I used to, build with or talk to. I was like a social butterfly in there. It was like, again, remember, my mindset when I went in there that I was not coming back out the same. So I would talk to, the Dominicans, the Colombians, the, any group of people that I felt like that can teach me something. I was talking to guys who took 100 million from MCI. I was locked up with him, and I used to sit down with him and just get fed. I was with this real estate guru. This is when I drew up a plan that I sent out to my brother Beyond on the houses, and telling him how he should set up his corporation, and how we're going to take money from this house, pull out the mortgage to buy this one, and I just showed him that whole blueprint. He still got it to this day.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Right? Yeah. So, and he operates off of it too. So it was like I was being fed. So the information I was being fed, I was sending it out to my brother, and introducing him to certain things. So when I began to hear this in different groups that I was building with, because they were all giving me this energy, and then one day it just clicked, and I was like, man, that's it. Because I never wanted for me to just create a name for myself. It was like I wanted it to be given, right? And so it was like life. So that's what, people started to, associate me with. But I didn't want just life, because this is when Life Jennings came out. I was like, man, I don't want people to be saying,
It's
like,
funny. I was telling that's what I think.
Right. That I took on
His name.
Yeah. So I had to be different. And so then I was like, okay, God. So I was like, Jah. God's life. I'm living God's life. And so that's where I added Jah and became Jah'Life.
So pretty much like, and you hear these stories a lot, and when people say, when they get locked up or they get incarcerated, that's where they start to change their life. It changed their life because you look at it as God sitting you down, like, okay, listen, something has to change. So to me, because it seemed like you had that mindset before you even actually physically went in there. So would you say your life-changing moment was the night of your big fight?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and people, they'll tie to, like, you became religious when you were in there, or whatever it is that you had grew to be at that time when you're in there. It's like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with someone actually stepped in a situation like that and then was able to come out with any type of positivity? Because that's inhumane to be locked up like that, right? So it's like I still don't know all of the I would say the effects that all that time had on me, but I just knew that every day that for me I was reaching to be better than I went in there. So it say things that has value don't lose its value just because it's lost, right? So it's like I found myself in there, right? And I found the value, but I always had that value, like what you said. I always had the value, but it got lost, and then I, found it back, and and just brought that value back out with me.
Man, it was crazy because you tell me I got to do an hour in jail, I'm falling out. Like that's it. But I feel like, do you feel like going through like your upbringing, the things you saw when you were younger, as crazy as it sounds, like you were like your mind was kind of prepared to go through that? Because how long did you do?
I did 9 years.
So I kind of feel like you experienced a lot, you saw a lot, so your mind was more equipped. Like you said before you went there, you was like, you know what, I'm not going in here and coming out the same person I was. Like, do you feel like that also was because of the things you saw as a kid, how what you saw your dad and your pops, what your mom went through?
I would have to say, yeah. It's like I mean, it's no different than you getting a sword and the scab this. So yeah, un, unfortunately that was the case, but it's no doubt in my mind that had something to do with it. And even to today, it's like certain things that bother other people don't bother me. You know what I mean? It's like I've been through, and again, not to hold it up as a shield. It just is what it is. I've been through, a lot. I've been through the hellfire, right? So the things that you think is hot ain't hot to me.
Mm.
You know?
You say, I am the fire.
Yeah, exactly. I am. So, and that's how pretty much how I live my life.
No, it's funny. I can attest to that personally because I've known you since I was in my 20s. And I know you remember some of the stuff that used to bother me. You used to be like this. Like, like, dude, like, tripping, man. Like, what are you talking about? But it's amazing the experiences that we go through, how it changes our psyche and our approach to certain things. Did you, when you was out there before you went in, did you ever have a inkling or feeling that you might get caught up?
Did again, like I said, when we had that discussion, it was like I seen it, right? It was like I was speaking my future, right? So yeah, and for anybody to not to even really be able to see that far if you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, and it don't have to be anything negative either. It could be something what it is that you are, envisioning and doing far as in your career or business that you want to create or the clothing line that you want. If you see it, if you got to be able to see the future of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I was in the streets. I got to be able to see the future of what that's going to bring if I continue to be in the streets. So it's either I'm going to get locked up eventually, or I'm going to get robbed eventually, or I'm going to get shot eventually. So you begin to, see these things for someone not to be able to see that. But then too, I flip it and be like, well, if I can see that, then why can't I envision whatever it is that I want to create?
That you want to create.
You know what I mean? And then speak that into existence and be able to see that and be able to manifest that.
So another one of your professions outside of being an unlicensed pharmacist was a personal trainer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And man, I tell you what's crazy, Willie. So when we met, I remember it too. We met at this club. I want to say it was down on East Ninth, and I remember it was B. I think it was you and somebody else walked in. This is before we even closed our first deal. B just wanted to bring us together. He was like, "Yeah, that's my brother." I'm gonna tell you two things. One, I felt this dude was like real calm. So I either felt like he was into meditation or he was a fighter because as you meet fighters, real fighters, that's just how they are. Like they just have a calm about it. And I said, man, this dude cool, real cool. Um, then I found out how much he was into fitness, and obviously he had opened his own training studio and whatnot. And so when you see me, Willie, and stuff I do, he used to torture people, man. He used to torture people. The very first time we worked out together, I had never worked on my abs in my entire life. All I did was just lift weights and run. I threw up, bro.
Wow.
Like, I seriously threw up. He had me doing stuff I never did before. I went to the bathroom and he asked, the only question he asked me if I was all right. Do I want to take a break? He asked me, was I going to finish? That was it. He said, man, you going to finish? That's it.
Wow.
So I say
Wow.
that to say because you obviously, I don't know if, I mean, obviously you haven't been a boxer. You had to work out. You had to do fitness.
Right.
But diet is a completely different thing because we
Right.
all know athletes that don't take their diet seriously.
Right.
So what made you change your diet and get into the physical fitness path that you obviously embarked on?
Again, man, finding something to do in there and being where it's just on a positive. It's so much stuff. I mean, it's so much stuff that you do inside prison, far as which way that you wanna go. And so for me, it was training, working out, and again getting into meditation and getting into that where I had to calm myself. It's like my physical was locked up, but mentally, dude,
You was on 10.
I was on 10. I was free. I was free. I was I was I was as free as I am right now.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
And I believe really, and this is going to be a shout out to my wife. I believe that now I'm like getting back to that level of where I was when I was locked up, as far as mentally, and being one with my thoughts and creating. Right. So I give her that because it's like I'm growing into this person. I'm growing into this man that I'm looking forward to meeting in this journey, right? And I give her the credit to that just because of the type of woman that she is, right? So just, when I was in there, I was into, reading, meditating. I got involved with the Tao, and they talked about as far as like the digestive system and stuff like that. And then too, I'm in prison. Can you imagine the food that they
I was
feed you
about
in
to say,
prison? Right? So it really wasn't hard. They're like, man, I ain't eating that. Right? So when you see these chicken wings that look like they've been shot up with all type of stuff. So the stuff that I was reading and then seeing it in front of me, I'm like, I'm not eating that. Right? And knowing that, it takes, red meat anywhere between, they're talking about like 94 hours. You know what 94 hours is? How many days that is?
Yeah.
Before it just goes through you.
Goes
And
through your
then
system,
you
yeah.
sit with anywhere between 15 and 20 pounds of, crap that sits in your stomach that you think that when you use the bathroom this morning that
In your colon.
it's from. Nah, it's stuff that's from years and
Damn.
years from now. So reading that, and it was like, man, I'm not eating that. I'm not drinking milk. I'm not doing this and that. So that's how the diet, but the exercise was just something just to stay fit, and then working out with people and having being involved in their transition. Being involved in their transition, seeing how they light up, seeing how the people who knew them and was like, wow. And then they turn around and say, hey, this guy did that. Like he helped me. And then you got their family or their wives like giving me like, oh, thank you so much and this and that. Because when I go out and visit, I was the cameraman. Right, so I was looking for a great job, and I didn't want to do no work. So I was a camera. That was my job. I was the camera guy. So he'll introduce me to his family when they come up on visit, and it's like, yo, this is the guy I'm talking about, life. And so it began to be ingrained.
So Dan,
in
if
me
you're ever
then.
looking for another gig, he just told you it.
Yeah. Yeah. So so man, I got involved in the working out, training people. I saw me, opening up that gym, but I thought that was gonna be the first thing that I ran into when I came home, which wasn't right.
But let's stay right there for a second, because everything we do with this podcast is for the culture,
Okay.
right? And so, unfortunately, in our community, growing up, nutrition, dieting, you really only heard about that unless you play sports,
Hmm.
right? We go to church every Sunday. Still to this day, I can't remember a pastor talking about living a healthy lifestyle.
You hear them talk about where they're going to eat after church, though.
Fried chicken, meat
Golden
with
Corral.
greens, mac and cheese. And it's funny, I heard Chris Rock say this. He said, when you go to black funerals, at the reception, they feed you what just killed that person.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's at every funeral, fried chicken, mac and cheese,
Yeah.
greens, the most unhealthiest stuff that clog you up. And so, kind of like a anomaly in a sense, where also in our culture, you see a dude swole, what you hear? He just got out. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right, yeah.
So it's like us taking our health seriously, what we put into our bodies, diet and exercise, and even to this day, I mean, it's always been an issue. You obviously came from that same type of background, but you made a decision. What do you think could help change that within our community? The psyche of what we eat, of going to exercise, going to the gym, getting a if you don't feel like you can do it on your own, get a personal trainer. What do you think would change that mindset within the black culture?
I think it's changing. It's changing now. With uh, people.
You think it's changing because of social media?
Social media, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it's more it's more talked about.
Visible.
People are right. You're seeing it. People got these channels that they're promoting vegans, vegetarian. I mean, it's happening. It's happening now. It's not going to change
Overnight.
overnight, but I believe it's changed already. I believe the change is very very close, because people are just getting into it, right, and becoming more conscious of it. But I think no matter what, even with knowing the detriment of cigarettes, that, and they had it on the package, that never stopped nobody from
That's
smoking.
true.
Right.
True.
So
Yep.
it's just being like, where do you want that individual? What does he or her want, far as being healthy? And usually, the change come about when you have to.
Well, you
Right.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, when you have to, right? You get that doctor say that this is going to happen or this and that. So if enough pain is associated with it, then there's your change.
I want to stick right there. You guys talked about the change. You talked about the culture, because another thing in our culture that I think has changed, and I want you to touch on this because I know you're a businessman yourself. A lot of people has had the hustle mindset.
Right.
But I feel like once your hustle mindset translate into a business mindset,
Yep.
things will change. Could you break down the difference between having your hustle mindset and taking your hustle mindset into your business mindset? Because I know he's gonna get into that next too.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, very good question. It's like almost like you just tapped into my thoughts, because now real talk, like I was just having a conversation with myself of that mentality, and I'm just now seeing myself transition from the hustle into the business mentality, and it's two different mindsets. You know, the hustle mentality is like, hey, you just going after the dollar and you just, trying to get as much money as you can. It transitioned for me too because I got more responsibility. It's not just me. It's not just me flipping a house and looking at my bottom line. It's the people that I have working with me, right? And I say with me, not for me, because that's how I see them. I truly want them to um, be able to grow and have the things that they want to have the things, and the financial stability to put their kids through college or to live in the area that they want to live. So my mentality now as a businessman, and then seeing the difference that uh, the hustle, man, is really no structure.
Hmm.
It's no system. It's no scaling.
To get it any way you can get it.
It's just it's just that the business, man, and the mindset, the things that you have to, who you have to become, right, to really grow this thing. Like who I have to become to grow a $10 million business, right? It's like, I gotta, I can't be, you can't hustle that,
No.
right? You ain't gonna get there with that mentality, right? So it's best that you become a businessman in order to reach that type of goal. But I know I can't hit that number with
It's a lot of
being a
young
hustle.
people that need to hear that too. Because you
Oh,
hear it all the
absolutely.
time in high school, man. Get this hustle, I gotta hustle. That don't last forever anyway.
It
Because
don't.
you constantly like you trying to hurry up and get that quick dollar. Get it any way you can get it. Sometimes whether it's clean or not clean, that hustle mindset. Eventually, you have to translate that into the business because then, like you said, now you're looking out for other people. You're not just looking out for yourself. A lot of people don't want to look out for other people too.
That's
As long as
true.
I'm good, I'm good.
That's something that's got to change in the culture. That's why I always talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Individualism versus collectivism. We go further. I don't know if you saw my IG. I put up a video. I said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's an old African proverb.
Mm.
And basically, just like you as a businessman, you're not doing it on your own. You're
Mm-mm.
doing it together. People that work
Mm-hmm.
with you. Um, the biggest thing to me about hustling is there's no breaks. I
Nope.
can't sit down and enjoy. I'm always working, and I saw that from my parents growing up. Even if you want to look at having a job, you're hustling. Because the only reason you at that job is just to get a check. No, I want to do something I enjoy doing.
Yeah, you see it
Make
all the
money
time,
that
man.
way. Yeah.
Like you see people that you have a nice house, but to me, I don't want to live like I got a nice house, but I got a house. I'm never there to enjoy it because I'm
Right.
making sure I'm out there, like you said, hustling, so I can be able to afford that. Like you have to get to a point where you build a lifestyle to where you can have time to sit down, relax,
Yeah.
to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Right.
And hustling, you really can't sit down and enjoy the fruits of your labor.
You can't.
And then the hustle is like it's a different mindset. I tell my guys and the people that I'm working with, like, man, this ain't a hustle. Like, quit bringing that mentality here. It ain't a hustle, right? This is a business. This is what's going to take care of you and your family. This vehicle is used to feed us, right? And just that hustle mentality is just like you said. It's a one hit wonder. It's just a one. It's like playing Donna Man. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
It's
man.
like playing Donna Man. Why would you want to just be out here, like kind of like this by yourself, without a team? You know.
Speaking of team, you got your lovely wife here.
Mm.
And he's constantly telling me, because he's married too,
Okay.
about how much
Okay. Yeah.
of an asset his wife has been to
Mm.
him. He always tells me, he's like, man, I wouldn't be who I am without her. And so marriage is something, unfortunately, in our culture as well,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't as the way it used to be. You were expected to, and it was regarded as something that you just aspired to. 2021, it ain't that no more, especially for our young men and young women.
Mm.
But I want you to talk about the value of having a partner, having that rib, having that person who's next to you, that brings you are life, but me knowing you and knowing her, she brings life to life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want you to get into that a little bit for our audience, so they can know that value, and that getting married isn't a burden. It's an asset. It's how you go farther. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Wow. So again, it's 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 principles and morals and just stuff that we've kind of like our culture, like how we've been raised, and the program. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yep.
We've been programmed, right, in a totally different, uh, mindset, as far as when it pertains to, marriage, or even being into a relationship,
Yep.
right? Um, the value is exponential. And again, the person that I'm becoming today, I'm excited about, and it's because of my wife and what she brings to the table, right? And then to me, truly valuing her and want to be more for her, right? So we don't enter this relationship as a 50-50. Well, you put in 50 and I'm putting in 50, and that's how we're going to get to 100. Nah, nah. She need to bring 100 to the table,
Mm.
right? And I need to bring 100 to the table. Because as she's continuing to bring 100 to the table, it's like, I got to match that.
And that's free game right there.
You know, I can't, it's like we in competition to outdo each other,
Mm.
right? When it comes to loving and supporting, one another. And when you have someone that truly, just not just have your back, because I don't think a woman that goes into a relationship that she doesn't have her man's back, but for her and I, we 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 really come together, right? And she bring the best out of me because of who she is. When we met, it's crazy. When we actually met. You know what, Alex? So it
You
was
want me to help you with this
yeah,
one?
yeah,
Or?
yeah. So we met when I was going to meet the investors,
I was there.
right? Right, yeah. And we met in a parking lot, and she um, was in a car next to me, right? I think she seen me pull in. She was on the other side of the parking lot. She pulled in and, pulled next to me. She was actually parked on the other side. And but anyway, she pulled next to me, and I seen her, but it was like, you know, I wasn't, I wasn't there. Now back then, I was like out, and dating, out on the dating scene or whatnot. But I wasn't even thinking, on that when I seen her. It was actually drizzling, raining, and I got out the car. She got out the car, and she asked me that I need an umbrella. That I want to share her umbrella. This shout out to Rihanna, right?
That's game.
Right?
Yo, that's game.
Yeah, no, real talk. And
That's
so
game.
I didn't realize that she was actually picking me up. But she was like, "Dad, I want to share umbrella," and I was like, "Sure." So I got up on the umbrella with her, walked to the door, walked through there, and I just thought it was cool. I was like, "Wow, chivalry from a woman!" Like, wow, all right, and just exchange numbers. I like would you like to stay in touch? I don't know if did you ask me for I don't know if she asked me for my number or I asked her for her number. But to be honest with you, and we talked about this, she was not someone that would have just got my eye like, ooh, I need to holler at that, right? Because she was, uh, clothed well. She looked nice, but she just wasn't the, big butt, this and that, purse and whatever. She was just like very I would say classy, you know. So and that's it. That was it. So we kind of like met, but it was I never saw this. I never saw this coming. As far as like with us being going on 4 years now. So
Just want to make a correction. That's 4 years of marriage.
huh?
That's 4 years of
A
marriage.
marriage, right?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah, because we've known each other longer than that. But anyway, that's how we met. But back to the value of it is really huge. I think what it was for me and what it done for me is to help me be more focused, right? And um, I'm not out here, chasing, this girl, that girl, or having to deal with. So it's like, man, I don't want to get into a discussion or argument with her, let alone have four other females that I gotta, deal with today. Anyway, now
Back in the day.
back in the day,
Yeah.
yeah, right. It's like whatever. It's like it was like whatever. But today, it's like I don't want that. I want peace, right? I don't want you bringing up stuff talking about who is this or who is that girl or this not. I don't want that, So why even, bring that up? I believe that a woman meets a man or come into a relationship incomplete, right? She's complete within herself, but she's incomplete because she hasn't been given the blueprint of how to serve you, and this is what you program her to be, or how to be your true helpmate, right? So if I'm depositing things of where I'm constantly getting caught up in different things, right? Then I'm programming her to bring me just that, right? So you're writing a program that how she's going to treat you or how you guys' relationship is going to be, because she's going to be a reflection of whatever it is that you put in her, right? So after really realizing that and seeing that, I look to only deposit and program the things that I want out of her. So then I began to peel back that layer of onion to where just different things that she does for me, it's just like, wow, it's like I'm beginning to really like see this woman and how a woman, treats her husband. It's just like, wow. But it's because of what I'm depositing, and what I'm putting into her is what I'm able to withdraw.
Let's talk about marriage and aspect of business, right? Because we just talked about being a hustler, and most hustlers, they don't have a partnership mentality, right? They may have a joint venture mentality, like, yeah, we can get this money on this deal, whatever, blah blah blah. But for the most part, sharing the space of not just your personal life, but your business life. How has being married helped you in your business?
Great, because again, that's the only thing. It's only really like kind of like three things I think about is like my kids, my wife, and my business.
Mm.
That's it, right? And I don't have I don't I barely have time for all three of those. So anything outside of that, it's just like I don't even have time for it. So but what that brings to my business is this, again, this kind of like this focus, and then to what she brings to the table when I'm speaking to her about my ideas. Again, a woman, she's the mother of civilization. She's the cultivator, right? You the seed, you the stimulator. She cultivate what you stimulate, right? So the seeds that I put in her, she grows them, and she, brings those ideas to life. She nurtured those things, right? So I give her something, and she, boom, she then blew it all the way up.
They say when you give a woman a house,
Mm-hmm.
she gives you a home.
Yeah,
When you give her food, she gives you a meal.
yeah,
You give her some seed, she gives you a baby.
yeah. And those seeds also are even your thoughts. Your thoughts, your visions of what it is that seeing, whatever it is that you are looking to grow. Like even with Renew Flooring, she's been very instrumental in the business because I will share something with her, and next thing you know, I'll have a whole business plan. Or like, I remember because she's also um, I want to say a professor at Kent. This woman have more jobs than any Jamaican I know.
I got 13 jobs, man.
Right, she has more jobs, man. When I met her, man, she was in everything, right? So anyway, so she teach at Kent. She gave her students an assignment of about how Renew Flooring could become more, you know, profitable.
Hold on, wait a minute, back up.
Go ahead.
She gave her students
Mhm.
an assignment about your business.
About my business.
That's cold.
Cold.
That is
right?
cold.
So come on, right?
So
Right?
talk about
Yeah.
multiplication, bro.
Dude,
Sheesh.
Dude,
I
dude.
definitely want to hear more about that one.
dude. So man, and I don't know where they're, but I still got the paperwork, right? And I'm dying to run into it because I can see it, or where we are now, or what I read through those papers, because that was an assignment. That was an assignment, bro. Right? So
Wow.
then it was just seeds that was just being watered and nurtured, and not really knowing, and like I didn't run my whole playbook from that, but it was just seeds and stuff that was being nurtured, and to where I am now, which again I'm further than where I was back then when she did that, right? So she will do stuff like that, just to encourage the encouragement of this continue to grow, and then too, she's always telling me, because again, this is that hustle mentality, right? Because I don't do things traditional far as going to school. I didn't get no degree. I don't know this about business. The only thing I know is how to go. That's all I know. Is go get it, right? But when you merge the two, because she has been successful and she has her master's degree and in business, and she teach this for a living, right? Now I ain't hearing that. I just know that I gotta go get it. And I remember we was having a little powwow about how I was doing stuff. I'm like, look, I may not do it that way. I've done it that way, but I'm here, and I'm only here because I got up. I don't have time to read and know everything before I go.
Mm-hmm.
I just go, and now I'll learn on the way, right? But you can only get but so far, and then too, you start to burn out. So now I'm at the point now. It's like, okay, I'm ready to listen to her. I'm ready to listen to her and be like, okay, now what did you say? How was I supposed to do that? Because I keep bumping my head.
Isn't it funny
right?
how that works?
Yeah, I keep bumping my head. So now it's like,
man, it's
I'm ready
funny,
to listen.
man. They see it before you even about to do it.
Yeah.
They see it.
Yeah, like, man, this one project that I shouldn't have done, and she probably gonna be like, I told, but she never say that. But this parking lot that I went I shouldn't have went at it then. I see it now. It was something else that she shared that I shouldn't do, and I was getting ready to do it and pull the trigger, and I was like, and I thought about it, and I called her back. I said, "Babe, I'm gonna listen to you. I ain't doing it." She was like, well, "That's good."
And then when she hung up the phone, she said, "I told you so."
Yeah, right.
Exactly what she said.
Right.
But you also influence her too, because she's a businesswoman too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and I can't wait to have y'all both on. But man,
Yeah.
power couple. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No doubt. She's a I would say not busy bee, but she's a worker bee, right?
I'm gonna give her this title, serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, now let me tell you,
Is that cool? Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
she wasn't.
Okay, she wasn't.
She wasn't. She was just. Oh, she's a worker bee, right? And Again, she had about like 5 jobs. She worked at um, Cleveland Brown Stadium. She worked at the Cavs Stadium. She teach, and her main profession, healthcare executive, healthcare administrator, and it was something else that she was doing. Did you know this past holiday she was like, "Hey, babe, can I go and work at some department store? Like, man, I can make such and such money." I'm like, "Oh, look, no, you can't. No, you shouldn't." And then so what I began to do with her, I'm like, "All right, look, how much do you get paid for that? $150. All right. How about we create something that where it don't take you 8 hours to make that $150 on that, and we create something where you make $150 in 1 hour, right?" So that's what we began to do, and I set her up because again she wasn't on this entrepreneurial kick. Now her mom is all entrepreneur. Her mom is like, man, she wanted to get involved. She's trying to take over my business right now. But her mom, is a totally different, person when far as entrepreneurial. So what I end up doing, I set her up a consultant business, right? Set it up for her, had it created. Now the same thing and same mentality that she had with working 5 jobs. Now she got about like 5 companies now. I want to say like 4, like so now she has a wedding company called Perfect Love Weddings. She has a consultant company called Marquetti Consultants. She just started another company called Naughty Life, and it was another company her and a friend had started that she was a part of, but it connected with Perfect, excuse me, Perfect Love Weddings. So but now I'm not like dude making her own websites, doing all social media, marketing. She's like a beast.
Bro, isn't it a blessing to have somebody who has that mentality? There's a story in the Bible about a guy. He took these dudes. I don't remember his name. You don't have to help me out, Willie. He took a bunch of dudes who used to fish and told them he was gonna make him an fisher of men. Who's
Oh man, yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's similar, like to that dude, because they already got the mentality.
Yeah.
She already had the mentality.
Yeah.
And all you did was just, I think Jim Rohn calls it changing the set of the sail.
Mm-hmm.
So she already had it in her.
Yeah, she did.
And sounds like the two of you balance each other out. And so we talked about the past, we talked about the present. I want to dig into the future a little bit.
Okay.
Before we close out. So what does the future look like for Jah'Life Ali and all your business endeavors and all the 15 million things you got going on? What the future look like?
The future looks like a big testimonial, right? Where other people can share, and I just look to be a part of the people that I come in contact with, being a part of their testimony, right? So just continuing to, breathe on others and being bringing out of them, what's in them, because I'm able to see what's in them because I've been where they are, right? And I believe too, as with the different things that I've been through or I've seen, I'm able to speak to it, right? And so that's like the big picture. Far as business wise, just teaming up, looking to see how me and the missus can truly work together. I really see I see us coming together and doing something really huge, pertaining to like relationships and just showing, again, not to say that we're perfect, but to be an example. And it's still going to be work, at that, but just to be an example for other people who are in relationships too. The way I could be an example of the man, to the man, and she could be the example to the wife, how to respond. Because it's work both ways, but I believe that the woman have more control than the man does, as far as turning on the outcome of their relationship. So it really takes a strong woman to be able to change and convert the man, especially the man who has been, in the streets, or with this woman, with that woman, or whatnot. So just a word to other women that's out there. It's like, yo, it's going to come from you, right? So whatever type of man that you say that you want, right, you have to go through the process too. You got to go through construction yourself, right? And knowing how to bring that out of the man. Now, that's not to put all the responsibility on her, because it's going to take the man to put in some work as well. But our first thing to do with the woman is to try to get her to like us or whatever. And so it's like she controls that narrative, right? That's the first thing action for us is to please a woman. Right. You get the car, it's because you want her looking, right? Yeah. You got the clothes because you want her looking. You get the watch or whatever it is because that peacock trying to attract her, right? So if she knows that, then she can control that narrative, right? Right. So nagging, or or being where questioning him of his whereabouts and stuff like that. But again, if we deposit certain things into her, then that we're going to get that out. Yep. Where are you? And all these questions and this and that. But if you deposit in those other things, then they don't even think about that. You don't even get that, right? So I don't know if I went down another road with that, but
you're good, man.
But again, just to I think that's very important to touch on that. But also, as far as business wise, we are looking to expand Renew Flooring into different cities as well as states. So I'm looking to build an affiliate program with Renew Flooring, where we're bringing people in and teaching them how to sand, how to install hardwood, how to put in vinyl, carpet, and creating crews. And instead of paying people hourly, where we actually pay them a percentage, we'll do the marketing, we'll do the sales. Wow. And they will be able to get a percentage of the job, because they're doing a job which their percentage will be higher, and we'll retain the lower part of it, but we'll be doing all the marketing and sales. So that's overall, a big vision for Renew Flooring. This right here, I believe that with all the things that have grown through, right? Not went through, but grown through in life. I've developed some lessons, right? And I believe that we all have lessons. I can learn from you guys too. So I came up with a concept where we talk about life lessons, the lessons that you've have learned with your experiences, the lessons that I learned. So I don't have all the lessons, but we can talk about those things. Mm-hmm. But we also can tap into the lessons that you have, and then we create a dialogue from that, and then being able to be like, okay, well, like just like what you're saying or asking me, what's the vision, right? So my vision for myself. So now we talk about life vision. But I'm able to share with you too, based upon what it is that you give me on the lessons and the things that you want to do. I'm able to give you a vision. I'm able to take what's inside of you and show you a picture of what you given me, because now we're seeing it from a different angle, or different side. So now we make this thing 3-dimensional, right? So my vision for myself is, again, with Renew Flooring, tapping into other people, learning about their life lessons and being able to share it with them, giving them some vision and direction pertaining to relationships, pertaining to business, or what have you, whatever topic that is. And also just working with, my wife and helping her, because I think that, man, that's really my meal ticket. Hey, look, hey, if everything fell for me, I'm like, man, we still got an iron in the fire. That's a straight shot right there.
Man, it's funny you said it, because looking at your wife's reaction when you talk about your business and your goals, she's just lit up like the whole time you're talking about that, and I love it. So normally we ask, like, what's the message that you have for the people? But I want to switch that up a little bit. Now, I forget, what was your name before you changed it?
Ronnie.
If you could go back in time and give Ronnie some advice or some words of encouragement about what the future holds, what would you tell him? What would that be like if you could go back and have a conversation with your old self?
So I would say that what you're seeing right now and what you're focused on right now is not what it appeared to be. Right? And I would say begin to program yourself instead of being programmed. Right? Write your program.
I like that.
Right? So I think that will be my advice. And it's like, you are the producer, the editor, and director of your life, of your own movie. You have the ability to write people in and write people out. This is your script. How do you want it to be? Right? You have power in your words. You have power in your thoughts. Create it. So that would be basically, that would be it then, and it's it now.
Like, how can the people find you, man? How can they connect with you?
Well, I don't want nobody looking. Hey, I'm telling you, man.
Keep it a
Listen, man. I am. I'm coming into it. I'm not there. Meaning, like, I'm not there, and I'm looking to grow into that, to be more boisterous, more out there. When we were doing Send Out Cards, it's like I was just out there. I just kind of like got burned down, kind of like behind the scenes. But really, hey, they could see me on I have my Facebook page. You can find me on Twitter. If you guys seeing Renew Flooring Ohio, that's me, right? So it's like I removed myself, and I've been behind. I've been behind the scenes. I've never been that guy. Even when I was out in the streets, I've never been the guy that
Want to be out front.
Right? It just never been. But what has that also been a little bit to my detriment, because again, remember I said I was what's the word? I had this consciousness where I didn't want people to think I was all that. So I'm looking to get in front of that, to where, hey, no matter what you think about me, man, I'm gonna be all of what I can be, and I'm not gonna limit myself or play myself down because you have an inferiority, right? So, but I'm not all the way there, so I'm just trying to get out in front of that.
Well, look, man, you'd be surprised how many people could be following your moves now.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Don't even know about
life giving them life. So I'm gonna go ahead and say follow Life on Instagram at Renew Flooring Ohio.
Yeah.
What's your Twitter handle?
It's actually what's my Twitter handle? It's the same thing.
Same.
Okay, so it's the same thing on
Yep.
Twitter, same thing on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Power moves. It is funny you say that because I done seen this man speak on stages in front of thousands of people, right? Superstar pictures, photo ops, the whole nine.
Mm.
But one of the most humble brothers that I ever met, my brother, Willie. I don't know if you got anything left, sir, but this to me has been amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm good,
interview,
man. It was great. I enjoyed your story.
Appreciate it.
I enjoyed watching your wife light up about you talking about your story, man. I love it, man.
Oh well, hey man, thank you.
It's also been a privilege for me in real time, seeing the evolution. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you actually inviting me on your podcast, and again, just to see you guys work and what you're doing, the work that you putting in. I always seen this in you though, like this your potential. You know, I really think like this is not even like you ain't even scratching the surface, man. I didn't like some of the stuff that he shared with me that he was involved in and stuff that he's doing. I'm like, okay, like I used to hear him talk about the drum. I'm like, man, this dude can't play no drum. Right? And then to really to see him actually play the drums, like, listen, I knew the guy for probably about like 5-6 years before I actually seen him play drums.
Wow.
So it was just a story, right? And I actually seen him play the drums.
I heard him at church.
Oh.
I was like, okay, dude, because I kind of
Yeah.
thought that too. Like,
Yeah, right.
Then
And
he had
there-
cut the church. I was like, all right, he got a little,
Yeah,
little smooth up there. Okay.
Yeah. So man, you definitely
Appreciate
grown and have come into your own self. So that's inspiring.
I
Right.
appreciate you.
Right. Yeah. Real talk.
I appreciate you. This has been another episode. Make sure to wait. That's your part. You supposed to close it.
You already started, man. You might as well finish it, man.
All right, I already started. Okay. So make sure to follow the Black Culture Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Can't wait till this episode drops. This is our first in person, definitely not our last. It's the Black Culture Podcast.
Peace. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Black Culture Podcast. If you haven't already,
Be sure to smash that like button and also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Apple, Google, and Spotify. And
also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Black Culture Podcast.
peace.
Peace.